Well, one, what I would do, I would send her a copy of her Carfax, save it as a PDF, email it to her, and just let her know that based on what we're saying, the car was listed for sale on March 30th of 24. Okay? And then vehicle purchase reported on May 14th of 2024, which is, I'm guessing, when she bought the car. At the same time, so on May 14th of 2024, it says, structural damage disclosed by seller based on results of a visual inspection. Vehicle sold. So the car came out of New Jersey. I don't know if they have some kind of inspection process when they sell a used car out of state, but as they sold it to her, somehow the title then got branded with structural damage. And now her car is completely worthless because of it. So, at least, I'm sure there's somebody out there that would pay a couple $1,000s for this, but she definitely needs to take that up with the dealer that sold it to her, because something that they did so when she looked at it for sale, yeah, the Carfax was clean, other than it had some minor damage from a previous accident, but it definitely did not have a branded title at the time. So I've never seen this before. That's pretty messed up, but
this is why I hate Carfax.
Why?
Well, we're thinking from one of the previous accidents, there was structural damage, but when it was repaired at the body shop, they just did what was around it, and then during the inspection at the dealership, they found the structural damage, and then
exactly. So that is probably what would have happened, because I've seen it before where a fender bender occurs. It doesn't look like it's that bad. The actual damage that can be seen by the physical eye is a couple $1,000. Maybe you're replacing a bumper or whatever, and then at some point down the road during an inspection of the undercarriage of the car, somebody will notice that the frame is bent. That's usually what it is. Bent frame is structural damage, kind of to a T. And if they then report it that way, so again, this could have been a very minor, it could have been something that was reported incorrectly. Okay? I mean, we're running into this lately where, do you remember when I was pulling that bumper report last month, and I think I showed you this, we took a GLC in on trade. On Carfax, it says damage reported. Okay, no accident, just damage reported. But it flips the yellow triangle on the Carfax now.
Sure.
Well, because it was a Mercedes, we start digging into the VMI, and sure enough, on the same day that damage reported showed up, the vehicle got a new sticker for, I think it was like the child restraint system.
Gotcha, okay.
And somehow the way that got reported, just literally like a recall for replacing a sticker, that somehow reported to Carfax that there was damage.
Interesting. And that branded it, and then it'll forever be that Carfax vehicle.
Right?
Sure.
So this person, somehow, whatever this inspection was, could have said, hey, there's some damage underneath the car, right, that I'm seeing here, and that could have gotten, maybe it is structural, maybe it's not, but it could have ended up in the system as structural damage. Mm-hmm. But my guess is that if did they get a lien on this car, or was it?
Yeah, right. Sure.
Yep.
So if I were them, I would also call the bank that they're financed through and ask to see a picture of the title to see, does it have a branded title.
All right,
this is a really bizarre one for sure.
Because that's when I saw it, I didn't see any accident on there that was deemed salvage worthy.
Yeah,
but then there's just the one line in there that
it's the result of this inspection, which I've never seen before. Structural damage disclosed by seller based on the results of a visual inspection.
Right.
So the way that reads, it sounds to me like that dealership did somehow, some way disclose to someone or something, some bureau, that there's structural damage on this car.
Gotcha.
But
yeah, she would have probably had to sign something at the dealership then.
Right. Well,
maybe.
Hopefully. But if not, then this lady has a very strong case to get this fixed by that dealership.
So when did she buy it? Does it say May what?
Yeah, it says vehicle purchase reported May 14th, and that's the same day that this branded title happens.
A year ago. 2024.
So they sold her the car and then reported it at Carfax. Right?
Yeah, technically they did it.
They did some kind of inspection when the car was sold. Remember, every state has different rules. Ohio may have required a visual inspection of the car because it was being sold by a New Jersey dealership.
But she would have already agreed to buy the car and already signed everything, and so they would have showed her the Carfax at that time and be like, "Oh, you're good to go."
Right, but when she, I'm sure, agreed to buy this car, that wasn't there because the day the purchase was reported is the same day it became branded. That's what I'm saying.
Also, it would have got branded however long it takes Carfax to update their system, which is usually.
Well, it looks like it happened all at the same time because when that happens, it'll normally say Carfax got access to this information on such and such a day.
Okay.
It'll say that in like a little asterisk down below,
Right.
where it'll have the date of the information, but then it'll say this wasn't added to the. Because in that case, you can say,
Sure.
hey, nobody could have known about this because it
Well, if
happened.
they printed, I'm saying if they printed the Carfax when they papered the deal earlier on the 14th, that would have been there.
Of course, correct.
Right, okay. Well, that'll be fun.
Yeah, that I don't envy anybody being in a situation like that, but there's definitely a conversation for her to have with that dealer.
For sure.
If you end up following along with that and hearing what happened, please let me know because that is really bizarre and not cool.
Yeah.
And I really, really, really hoping that it was an honest mistake and not malicious.
Yeah.
But again,
Well, I think the biggest thing will be checking the bank, because if it's not a branded title, then we've got.
right, you could go to Carfax. It's fair to say that this dealership also didn't know.
Right, because it looks like they purchased it before it had that, as far as we know. Right? When did they take the vehicle into their inventory?
Yeah, they offered the vehicle for sale on 3/30. The title was clean at that point in time, so they clearly took it in not knowing this.
So it's happened for a month and a
But did
half
they
before.
know when they completed the deal and not say anything? That's
Right.
I'm not saying that they knew and hid it from the beginning, but they definitely had to know at some point. I don't know.
Right. It would have probably been a split-second decision on the day it
Very,
was sold.
very interesting. And it looks like it's a franchise dealer from what I can tell, so hopefully they'll stand behind it. You know, it's not like
It's not Joe's
Joe's Corner Auto Sales. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a weird one. Okay.
I just want to know, will they buy that deal?
All right, how many miles over is he?
51,000 on a C300. Will they buy that deal?
On a C300.
Correct.
Wow.
It's got 105,000 miles on it. He was allowed 54 and change.
Oh my God.
He works from home now. He still wants.
Why did he wait all the way till the end?
They-
The payment's going to go up $400 a month.
I know. He's approved on a BMW iX already. He's approved
I don't
at
believe that-
BMW with $2,000 down. At $998 a month is the iX.
Okay. I believe he'll get approved. I mean, because he's got his mileage penalty is $13,500, and the
Right.
car is being discounted like 25 grand. So,
Plus, he has loyalty.
right, right. So 20. So he's actually this would be like buying a car straight up with $12,000
Sticker
off.
deal. Yeah.
No. He's getting $7,500 lease cash. He's getting $7,500 from us, $7,500 lease cash, $9,000 incentive, and $2,000 of loyalty.
Correct.
So you add it all up, he's getting 26 grand off and rolling 13.5. So it's actually like buying a car with a $12,500 discount and not having a trade. So mathematically, yes, the loan to value is very good, right? That's the benefit to
Right.
leasing and taking advantage of all these incentives. And if he's already been approved by BMW,
So I'm just going to send him this, like, here's the deal.
yeah. Does he have fleet? Sam's Club? Anything like that?
Nothing.
AAA? No? Put him in focus?
Mhm.
Okay. Wow. 51,000 miles over. I mean, what was he doing? Was he driving for work?
Yeah.
Was he in traveling sales?
Traveling sales during COVID.
Man.
That's a lot.
And he just didn't want to let go of that payment, did he?
No.
Well, you're going to pay for it eventually.
That's not
Also
miles
keep-
over.
Right. Now keep in mind, if he goes with the BMW, he's gonna get a disposition fee. He's also not gonna get a waiver towards excess wear and tear. I mean, I think it's all but certain there's gonna be excess wear and tear on this car, and there's nothing we can do about that. But he will get a $500 waiver if he goes with a new Benz. So the $600, $595 disposition fee plus tax is gonna be. He's gonna get a bill for that if he goes with the BMW. And there will be no excess wear and tear waiver. So that's a consideration because otherwise the payments sound like they're pretty much identical.
See.
Honestly, the number itself, 51,000 miles over, is pretty jarring.
Yeah.
But the actual penalty, I mean, it's a lot, don't get me wrong. But it's not the worst we've seen.
No, it isn't.
I've seen people with significantly worse scenarios than that. But yes, no, I mean, this is why it is so ultra important for people to be honest with themselves and really do the math with how many miles a year they're driving. Because he could have, this 13,500, he could have been paying a little bit more a month
Oh, yeah.
as he went and avoided all of this. So anyway, let me know what he says. All right, Colin. Hit me with it. What's up?
All right. Trade of the century.
Trade of the century. Okay.
They said it will not grenade the deal. It was his mother-in-law's car that passed away a few months ago.
Okay.
1996 Saab 900 convertible.
Oh, wow.
Blue on blue. One owner, 64,000 miles.
A 96
Saab
Saab.
900 convertible. One owner, clean Carfax, 64,000 miles. Look at that.
Oh, that's hilarious.
That looks great. Original
Really
window
does.
sticker. That car was $41,000 in 1996.
Oh, man, there's probably like no information on this
Nothing.
at all.
It has new tires, newer tires from a couple of years ago. It has a set of brakes from a few years ago. It's a one-owner, clean Carfax vehicle. It's just... Yes. He's
Wow.
like, this will not destroy our deal. He's like, but I need to know what this is worth.
Is
Because none
he
of the
just
grand-
trying to get rid of it?
Yeah, none of the grandkids want it.
Okay.
But it only has 64,000 miles on it, and it's 29 years old. So it's like, it feels like the Thunderbird, but better.
Well,
Because it's a Saab.
it's quite a bit older than the Thunderbird was, and super high miles comparatively. I mean, for 64,000 miles for a 96 anything is
nothing.
low.
That's nothing.
It's just that there is...
No data.
Accu-Trade is not pulling any data at all.
So it's probably the only one.
There don't appear to be any of these for sale, which... So
I love it.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, look, I love an old Saab. So I sent a message to the inventory consultants at Accu-Trade. I just said, hey, got a fun one for you. Can you dig up any kind of estimation of value on this at all? Obviously, I'd like to take it off their hands if you can. Obviously, of course, we're not going to be able to sell it.
No.
But this might also be one time where a phone call to Jay might make sense, just to say,
He doesn't even know what it's worth.
well,
He's like, it's on a
it's
battery tender.
unfortunately
in
not
the-
really worth anything. It's just
It's on a battery tender in the garage. That's it.
somebody would probably pay a couple grand for it on Facebook Marketplace, something like that. I just don't know if they want to go through that process. You know what I mean? Of trying to sell it. So we'll try to.
I don't want to insult them, though, either. I understand it's a 30-year-old car, but at the same token, it's like, is there any help whatsoever? What
They're looking into it now.
Say.
He said, taking a look now, wish it was an 89 SPG though, LOL.
Why are those worth money?
I'm guessing.
Saab is such a cult following kind of car.
Yeah, it was an enthusiast brand. People that loved them really loved them.
Is that before GM owned them, or was that when GM owned them?
I don't know the history well enough to know, but
Saab is still a company, yeah. They got out of cars like a decade ago.
I was going to ask if 96 was it still made in Sweden, or was it owned by GM at that point in time? I don't think GM bought them until like the 2000s.
I think it was early 2000s we
was
bought
early
them out, yeah.
2000s. It was already headed for the grave.
We had 9.5 Aero loaner cars.
Sure did.
Wait, do we have a Saab that's getting traded in?
Possible 900.
900 convertible.
Doug, that's the one.
no, to
Blue
actually,
on blue.
That's it.
if we could get it, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, because Saabs are sweet. So it looks like the partnership with GM began in 90 and ended in 2000. So here's a lease. Let me make sure this is accurate. One sec. Yeah, here's a lease, here's a purchase. So here's the deal. If he's comparing it to an X5, then he's really not comparing apples to apples, because the Geely Coupe is the X6. So with the X5, you're talking about a volume car, like our regular Geely. It's a volume car,
Yeah.
right? Generally, much more available, lots of different options available to you. The Geely Coupe, and I would assume the X6, very low production by comparison. Right? So as I explain it to people, if 10 Geely 350s get produced, maybe 2 Geely Coupes get produced. So that really limits what we have available to us to choose from.
Yep.
All right, and in the case of Geely 450 Coupes, these have been flying off the shelves. I think we, as recently as 2 weeks ago, we had like 6 or 7 of them. Now we're down to 3.
Is the red no longer available? Color option?
Red?
Yeah.
It's available.
I'm only asking because when I looked at the website on MBUSA, red isn't there anymore. I could be.
Oh,
wrong.
you may not be able to. It might not be available to configure anymore.
Okay.
You might not be able to build it that way
Okay.
anymore.
Yeah, because they were looking it up, and I was looking it up as well. And you're like, well, red isn't available. And he's like, well, I really like red.
Is he thinking about a custom build?
I think he wants to do something very soon,
Got it.
but like probably within a month or less.
So if none of the ones that we have in stock work for him, then we can look into a locate.
Mhm.
But again, there's not going to be a ton to choose from
Yeah.
compared to a GLE regular.
Yeah. He likes the packages that this car has. So like the winter package. I think he started accepting the beige. He's like, well, I don't really mind it now. At first he did.
Yeah. But yes, I think it's important to explain to him that you're looking at a core model in the
Yeah.
BMW brand, and you're looking at a niche model here.
Okay.
So now the good news for you, if you keep your cars for a while, or even if you don't,
Yeah.
the coupes tend to hold their value really well because they're so low production relative to
Okay.
the regular cars. But
Yeah.
you're just gonna have to be a little bit more flexible on what you'll take because there's so few of them out there to choose from. But if you really just can't get over the interior and it
Yeah.
comes down to a locate, then let's go down that road.
Okay.
Just say it's gonna be more expensive, obviously, to locate a car, but we can